everybody, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Elizabeth from Total Wellness Health Coaching and the Autoimmune Free Cooking Club. I welcome you to my kitchen for the first time if you're brand new here, or welcome back if you've been hanging around for a long time. This little baby right here, my 6-quart Instant Pot Duo, is about 4 years old. Can't believe it, 4 years old. Happy birthday, Instant Pot. The Instant Pot is quite a bit older than that, but mine is 4 years old. I just turned on saute. I pressed the adjust button to get it to the medium setting, which they call normal, less, normal, and more instead of low, medium, high, because I'm going to cook a whole chicken, but I want to brown it a little bit. But I'm going to have the spices on the outside of my chicken, and the spices might burn if I have it on the highest setting, so I have it on the medium setting. This is a very old recipe, one of the very first ones that I published, but I'm doing it again because, well, we want it for dinner, number one. Number two, I need some broth, so I need to cook down my bones. And number three, some of these old videos just aren't getting seen, and it's ones like this that are so good. I want you to learn to love your Instant Pot if you don't already. And so I want to show it to you again. Now, I've rinsed off my chicken, but I just wanted to show you that you need to remember to check the cavity for the giblets, which is not always the same. Sometimes the giblets include different things. It can be kidneys, liver, the neck. This one doesn't appear to have a neck because it's not long enough, and there's nothing else in there. But I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to use it when I make my broth. I'm just not going to cook my chicken with it. And there's sometimes like this huge piece of fat. I just pull that off because I am going to make gravy. We're going to have this roast chicken with mashed potatoes and gravy and some green beans I have cooking on the stove that came out of my garden, and I just don't want this extra fat because I'm just going to use the broth as it's cooked down as my chicken has roasted. And I need actually a couple more paper towels, so I'll be right back. I did get out my Clorox wipes so that anything that is touching the raw chicken, including my hands, I can clean up appropriately. So I just use my wipe to open my cabinet. So you want to rinse it and you want to give it a little pat. There's another big piece of fat right there. I'm just going to take that off and just make a nicer finished product, okay? So again, if you're new here, I welcome you here. We, my family and I, we manage our autoimmune diseases with diet and lifestyle, or as I would say, functional medicine, rather than with medicine. And part of that, a large part of it, is just how we cook, how we're eating. So I'm going to swirl this around. Before your pot has been under pressure, it's not hot up here, so you can touch it like that. I'm just going to mix up my spice rub while I talk to you. So I hop on YouTube and I like to just show people how we cook, because people say, oh no, I have to change my diet, and then they are afraid of that. So that seems like a lot when I do it that way. What I'm putting on my chicken is what my family likes on our chicken, which is just salt and pepper, sage, thyme, and paprika. Although I was out of sage and thyme, so I've just used poultry seasoning, which the first two ingredients in poultry seasoning, most of them anyway, and this is McCormick, this is found in most grocery stores around the country. The first two ingredients are thyme and sage, but it also has marjoram, rosemary, black pepper, and nutmeg. So that's going to be delicious. I might not want quite all of this. Oh, you know what? I forgot to look at how big my chicken is. Hold on. Okay, this chicken is 4 1/4 pounds. And I need to know that because to cook it properly in our Instant Pot, we need to cook it about 6 minutes per pound. So 6 times 4, go back to multiplication class. 6 times 4 is 24. So I'm going to put this in skin side down, and then I'll sprinkle spices on the other side. and a little bit more than that. So 24, and then a little bit more of the quarter. So I'm going to do 26 minutes in my Instant Pot under high pressure to get my chicken cooked all the way through. The thing that I forgot to show you was putting some of my spice mixtures down in the cavity of the chicken. So I'm going to do that when I flip it. Some people say, oh, nothing smells better than, a chicken roasting in the oven. And I agree, that does smell really, really delicious. But you get those same aromas when you use your Instant Pot. So you're not going to lose that, don't worry. Some people, when they cook their chicken, they will use a trivet, and some people don't. It doesn't really affect the cooking whether you use it or not. It simply is going to make it easier for you to get that chicken out. Does that make sense? And I don't have mine, so I'm going to have to go grab it. That's really noisy. Sorry about that. So, just a few large carrots, a few stalks of celery. I'm going to stutter here for a second. Have Invisalign braces, and sometimes, depending on what the alignment is like with my teeth that particular moment, sometimes I do kind of stutter a little bit. Okay, so how am I going to flip my chicken? That can be a little bit tricky. And I want my tongs. I feel like I'm all over the place. So my kids, we homeschool, and we have a Christian camp here in town that has classes for homeschoolers. And so my oldest child is volunteering as like an assistant teacher, and my younger child is still just by a couple months able to take a couple classes. It's like archery and golf, and it's fun stuff. And so they are there. So we have all been together. We're together a lot of the time anyway because of homeschooling. We've all been together for 6 months because of the virus. And so they now get to go someplace for a few hours, one afternoon a week. And I just don't even know what to do with myself. It's October 1st, which is, I love fall, and it doesn't really feel like fall till it's October. So now it's October. I'm giddy about that. Had a few hours to myself. I'm giddy about that. So I think my brain and my tongue are not working together. But I think you understand me. So I like to not flip it around like that. I try to get my tongs down in the cavity. There we go. And kind of grab a hold that way. So what's going to happen, that was a feather, which is okay, chickens have feathers. Grab a plate. I'm going to just give that chicken a little sear. Can you see how beautiful that is? It's partly from the veggies that are on there, but it's partly the browning. I only want one onion, but this one looked like it might be going bad. Oh yeah. Like one side was fine, and then that side is awful. So I had a spare. I'm glad I had a spare. I'm going to brown the chicken. I'm going to take it out. And I just totally cut that wrong. Oh well, it doesn't really matter. It's just cooking down. I'm going to put these veggies in. I'm going to put in a little bit more of my spices. And stir my vegetables around. Put my chicken back in, set it to cook. How many minutes did I tell you? 26, I think. So my son was doing this science experiment. He's in biology this year. And they were studying osmosis and diffusion, and had to put a raw egg first in a cup of vinegar for the vinegar to eat away the shell. And then we transferred it to a cup of Karo syrup. I had to buy Karo syrup. And then after the day in the vinegar, a day in the syrup, then a day in distilled water. And we watched the egg shrink and then expand and then shrink as the concentration of like solutes in those different liquids kind of went in and out of the egg. It was a raw egg. It was disgusting. He had to very, very, very carefully dispose of that egg. And I told him, I was like, don't go sling that bag into the dumpster, because that egg will burst and it will smell awful for the next week until it's trash day again. And he's like, oh yeah. Very carefully put the trash bag, lay it down in the bottom of the dumpster. So I'm just going to swirl these around while I get a little bit of my spice mixture inside my chicken. That's enough. Because this is a little bit contaminated from my fingers, I tried to be really careful, but my fingers did touch it a little bit. I will just use this when I make my broth because they're all flavors that would go in my broth anyway. So I'll just set that aside. We'll put it with the giblets, whatever they happen to be this particular case. And I'll throw that in when I make my broth. Look how pretty that is. It looks so pretty if it weren't raw. It would be perfect. So I'm going to get this chicken in there. I don't really have to cook these vegetables. They're going to cook plenty under pressure. I want a little bit of broth. It was probably a cup to a cup and a half. You really just want to cover the bottom and you want to deglaze your pan. So the liquid and with the saute function still on, the heat's coming up from the bottom, it will help loosen basically what are some spices that browned on the bottom of my my stainless steel insert here. And after my chicken is cooked, I'm going to take that broth and some of the vegetables I'm just going to spoon out, we're going to eat them, but some of them I'm going to blend up into a gravy. If you've watched my Thanksgiving turkey recipe in the Instant Pot, it's the same process. I blend all those vegetables that cooked with the turkey, and that makes the most flavorful gravy. It's so yummy. So I'm just going to set my trivet right down on that. Stick my bird in. Now, we didn't really have many juices accumulate, a little bit. We'll just get everything back in there. I gotta wash my hands again. Okay, to switch from one function to the next, you always have to turn it off, so hit the cancel button. I make sure my rubber gasket is in place, firmly in place. Turn my valve from venting to sealing. Now this just comes right off. You can clean properly. Sometimes some gunk will get in there, so you need to clean it. And if you just set it on there, your pot's not ever going to seal. So make sure you press it down. It is loose. It's wobbly like this, but it shouldn't just fall off if you turned your lid upside down. So make sure it's pressed down. Move it to sealing. And we want manual. It's on high pressure. And 26 minutes. And while that is cooking, I'm going to make some mashed potatoes, and I'm going to check on my green beans, and then I will show you how I make the gravy and everything at the end. All right, thanks everybody. I'll see you in a few minutes. Hey there, welcome back everybody. The chicken is done. At least I'm assuming it's done. It took about 5 minutes to come up to pressure, and then cooked for the 26 minutes. And then I just let the pressure come down naturally, which took, I think, 14 minutes. It says 16 now, L16. The L stands for elapsed. That's the amount of time that has passed since something happened. So my pressure valve is now down, and I can take my lid off carefully. I started using a towel a little while ago because there's a lot of condensation in the lid, and I would just like take it off and it would like run down my arm, and I would end up getting burned with that condensation. So be very careful. So I'll take it off and I'll kind of let it hang there for a second and just drip just a teeny bit, and then I'll quickly move it over. Okay, so this is what it should look like. It's starting to break apart a little bit. I know that my chicken is done. And I'm going to grab a hold of the handles with these pot holders that were lovingly made for me. I'm going to kind of squeeze it and drain a little bit of that liquid out. And then we'll transfer him over there. I actually want to scoot the chicken off of the trivet. Let's see here. There we go. And I want to spoon out some of these veggies. I just kind of serve like a side dish, which I learned from my mother-in-law. She made my recipe one time we were visiting. And you know, I intended the vegetables to flavor the chicken and then later on to flavor the broth. And she served them like a side dish. And I was shocked. I hadn't even thought of that. And I loved it. I thought it was so good, so tasty. It was such a great idea. So I have done that ever since. So maybe a couple more spoonfuls. I'm trying to make it look a little bit pretty. You know, a roasted chicken and vegetables that have been cooked to this degree doesn't usually smell or look the best, but we all know that it tastes great, and it does in fact smell really good too. I'm just going to cover this, set it to the side, and then I'm going to pour those contents in my blender. So remember, I picked this up and swirled that oil around at the very beginning because it wasn't hot. But now that my pot's been under pressure, this pan will be very hot. So I just want all of that to go in, all of the veggies, all of the broth. And I want to turn this off, and I want to turn saute back on. I'm going to adjust it down to less or low. This blender has a really short cord. And I'm going to blend this. I'm going to add some arrowroot. So just about a tablespoon of arrowroot, I think. It's kind of a large quantity of liquid, so I may end up needing to add a little bit more. And that's it. That's how we're going to make this super, super, super flavorful gravy. I'll try to link my blender for you too. It's old actually, but I love it. It's a Ninja, and it was in the $35 range. It was really inexpensive, and it works really well. It came with a smaller blending cup for, like, if you want to make smoothies, which we don't do a ton of smoothies, but it's great for just making a small amount of something. It's very effective. So we just need to bring this up to a boil so that it will thicken. It's already kind of thick. I'm just going to put it on high so it goes faster. Give it a taste for seasoning. So the only seasoning was the seasoning that was on the chicken and the vegetables. It needs a little salt. Did you happen to notice the color of that broth as I poured it into my blender? So dark and rich. And yes, I started with broth instead of water. You need to have some kind of liquid in your pot. So that helped, and then the paprika and, you know, the sage and the thyme all helped to color it, which is all natural coloring instead of like a gravy packet kind of thing that's going to have a whole bunch of artificial stuff in it. I'm so looking forward to this. It's really peppery. Ooh, it doesn't need any pepper. I don't mean like it's not too peppery, but it's peppery. My husband will love it. He loves black pepper. So I just want that to boil because I need it to thicken to a gravy consistency. And I may have to add a little bit more arrowroot. I'm going to cut my chicken. Before I start, I want to sharpen my knife. Whenever I cut meat, I try to remember to sharpen my knife first. If you have a small family to cook for, or just a couple friends to cook for Thanksgiving, consider doing a chicken or a turkey breast rather than a whole turkey. I have found it's typically really difficult to find a small turkey. I actually like chicken better. Don't tell anybody. But some people in my house prefer turkey. So we'll just do a turkey and have a lot of leftovers. Well, depends on the number of people we have. It's perfectly cooked. You see how these legs are just hanging on there? If I were going to really carve this, I would put it on my cutting board. I was trying to make a nice display. My bone, the leg bone just came right out. I'm trying to get some of the dark meat off because that's a favorite in this house. And I want to give it a taste. Try it with the gravy, right? So good. It's not quite as thick as I want, so let me show you how I'm going to fix that. So I got some more arrowroot, a tablespoon. I'm going to add this liquid. I could have added water, but I might as well go ahead and use my flavorful liquid, right? Just mix that up. And try to get the lumps out as much as possible. You can get into a big mess if you make it too thick and you add some more broth or some kind of liquid, and then, oh, you get too thin, you gotta thicken it some more, so I'm just adding my thickener slowly. Not quite. I'm gonna add about half of that again. Now it's really going, so I'm gonna turn it off and get it back to the low setting. And let me show you how we're going to plate this up. Okay. A few of these veggies. This is for one of my kids, so I know they don't want too many of the veggies. And I'm going to use my hands, because that's okay. It's okay to use your hands. Get most of this drumstick. Ooh, hot. And a little bit of white meat. I have one kid that likes the skin and one that doesn't. I can't remember which is which. And then I need another spoon. Oh, yeah. A little bit on the chicken too. So here I have the Instant Pot roast chicken. You saw how easy that was to get started. Roasted totally in like 40 minutes, 45 max. We have this amazing, delicious, flavorful gravy at the end. If you haven't tried this yet, try it. You can then have chicken for chicken salad or chicken soup, all the different things you do with chicken. A lot of people will roast up a chicken on the weekend and then they'll portion it out and have it for lunches all week on salads or like I said, making chicken salad, however you like to eat your roast chicken. It's a great, fast, easy, delicious way to get some protein. We just made it a little bit fancy tonight with the gravy, but you certainly don't have to do that. But please do me a favor and cook those bones down and make some good quality bone broth. It will strengthen your immune system. It is good for your gut, your digestive system, and we all need to stay as healthy as possible right now. Plus it tastes good. It will enhance all your cooking to use homemade bone broth. So I hope that you will save the bones of your chicken and the skin and the giblets, the neck, all that yummy stuff, and make yourself some good quality broth. So thank you again for joining me tonight. I'm Elizabeth. I'm so glad you're here. If you have not already, please consider hitting that subscribe button, like, share, all that good stuff to help our channel keep growing. All right, thanks everybody. I will see you back here next time.